So these are Samsung's two most expensive phones right now. This is the Galaxy Z Fold 7, which starts at $2,000 MSRP, and this is the S25 Ultra, which starts at $1,300 MSRP. Now, compared to past years with the Fold 6 and previous generations compared to the Ultra, there wasn't that much of a comparison to deal with because they were so different in terms of dimensions and functionality. But with a new cover display that has a new aspect ratio, plus the weight and the thickness being shaved off so much this generation, now the thickness between these two phones when folded are really comparable. But of course, even though the S25 Ultra is the cheaper phone out of these two, it does have its advantages. The S25 Ultra comes with a periscope 5x optical lens, which the Fold 7 does not. The Fold 7 only comes with a 3x telephoto lens, and the Ultra comes with a much bigger battery at 5,000 mAh, while the Fold only has 4,400 mAh. Since this is a comparison between a Ultra folding phone and a Ultra slab phone, there's a lot of different factors and a lot of different use cases to really think about. So for those of you stuck between these two options, or you're just curious about Samsung's two most expensive phones, let me break down all the wins for the Fold 7 and also for the S25 Ultra and let you know which one might be better for you. Starting with the Fold 7's perks, it's definitely the portability. Now between these, the weight is actually very similar. The Fold 7 is actually a tiny bit lighter than the S25 Ultra, which is pretty amazing. So even though these two will feel pretty similar in your pockets, the Fold 7 is a phone plus a tablet, so you're getting a lot more for the same weight and size. So the weight and the thickness might not sound like a huge deal to you, but it definitely is for me. So before the Fold 7, the Galaxy Folds were very heavy devices, and especially when I'm wearing shorts, it was always like hanging around and kind of being distracting. I can't really go for runs with them in my pockets, but now with the Fold 7, it feels virtually identical to a regular phone, so it's a huge upgrade for me. And like I said earlier, the thickness when folded are basically identical. It's just a tiny bit thicker than the S25 Ultra, and when unfolded, it's not a comparison, it's a lot thinner than the S25 Ultra. And of course, we have the huge inner screen, which is a huge advantage for the Fold 7. The bigger screen is actually a huge win just in terms of entertainment, watching videos, reading, browsing, and even editing videos or viewing spreadsheets. The screen size is comparable to an iPad mini. Of course, the aspect ratio is a lot different, but with this big of a screen and this big of scaling, you can get a lot done. So if you do have a Bluetooth keyboard, you can have a pretty productive laptop setup. So it's not just bigger, you get a lot more entertainment value and productivity value just from having this bigger display. And the laptop mode, they can have half the screen playing video and the other half just for controls. That might sound a bit of a gimmick, but since half the screen is almost as big as a whole phone, it actually helps a lot when just propping a video up. So when eating breakfast or eating lunch at work and I just want to chill and watch a video, this actually helps a lot. And like I said, the aspect ratio is actually pretty perfect for multitasking. It's basically two phones side by side, so you can have two fully optimized apps side by side to each other. So I always have a YouTube video and some kind of feed like Threads on the right side here. And on top of that, you can even have pop-up multitasking, so you can have a bunch of apps open on top as windows like this, and there's perfectly enough space to make that work. You can also have a persistent dock at the bottom like a desktop. I personally don't like doing that because I don't like having too many icons on the side. I actually prefer having the edge panels because you can actually fit more icons into that edge panel and you can have it hidden on the side there. And it's not just for entertainment and leisure time. I actually do this a lot for work as well. So when I'm on my way to work and I need to get something done real quick, I can have Slack on the side and an email on the side so I can reply to something that might be important. And I also work on scripts using this as well. I write notes on the side while I have information on the left side. So there's a lot you can do with this bigger screen. So since I do multitask a ton on the Fold 7, I don't spend as much time on my phone as I do on other phones because I get more done within a shorter amount of time. And the tablet screen isn't the only advantage either. The cover display at the front is actually pretty useful for selfies. Now, taking photo selfies with this, I don't do it that often, but for vlogging, it actually helps a ton. So using this as a viewfinder while using the ultra wide angle lens makes it really convenient for vlogging. So the new hole punch inner selfie isn't that much to talk about since the quality isn't like that great, but I do like how wide angle it is. So it is really good for taking selfies or for vlogging when you're sitting down and having it set on a table. So those are all the big perks for the Fold 7, but the S25 Ultra definitely has a lot of perks too. The S25 Ultra is definitely a simpler device that you can get used to since it's just a regular slab phone. There's not much complexity, it's just a single screen, it's got great cameras, it's got a nice display, it's got maybe an S Pen which adds a complexity, but yeah, it's simple, it's a big screen phone with big specs and just everything just works. Plus you don't need to worry about durability since there's no soft inner screen that you have to worry about. So this has a IP67 rating while this only has a IP48 rating, so you don't have to worry about getting dust and water into this S25 Ultra. So even though the Fold 7 got a new hinge and it's got new hardware and it's got a better inner display that's supposedly more durable, you still can't be too comfortable because there's a lot of warnings for every foldable Samsung phone not to press it too hard, not to have dust or specks when you're closing the phone and things like that. With the S25 Ultra, you just don't have to worry about that. So there's definitely a lot less complexity. So even though a lot of people do prefer physical fingerprint readers on the side and not on the inner screen, I actually really do prefer the ultrasonic fingerprint readers on Samsung's phones. The Ultra's ultrasonic fingerprint reader is actually really fast and way more responsive than the physical one on the Fold 7 for me. Especially since I'm a lefty, I'm constantly having to kind of reach for the fingerprint sensor on the Fold 7. The S25 Ultra is placed perfectly on the middle of the screen and I could just put my thumb up like that and it's just unlocked. It's super simple and I don't have to really reach around and try to fidget with it. And another nice thing about having the hardware of a simple singular slab phone is that there's a lot more accessories and cases available for this. For the Fold 7, I have to say that it's harder to find good accessories for it. A lot of accessories are either not protective enough or they're overprotective, so they're too thick. So there's kind of a weird balance in terms of finding accessories for the Fold 7. The S25 Ultra is actually Samsung's most popular S25 series phone, so you can find a ton of accessories for it. And like I said, this is a much simpler device with a long history. It's a very mature category phone, so there's no weird app scaling like you have with the Fold 7 and weird little bugs like that because some developers haven't optimized their apps for a foldable phone. So the Fold 7's cover screen did get a big aspect ratio upgrade where it's more similar to a regular phone. Past foldables, there were a lot of complaints that the screen was too narrow, so it wasn't comfortable for typing. So that's mostly been resolved on the Fold 7. But even though that's the case, it's still not as convenient as what's on the S25 Ultra. This is just a regular aspect ratio. The Fold 7's aspect ratio is still a little bit skinnier. So for some of us, it will take a bit of time to get adjusted to the skinnier display. Another win for the Ultra is the anti-reflective coating that you have on the display here. The Fold 7 does not get that treatment, so when you're shining a bright light on it or you're just kind of using it in the sun, you'll see a little bit more reflections on the Fold 7. So in terms of these small quality of life details, the S25 Ultra does have some wins in the display. But something more noticeable than display is simply the speakers. The speakers on the S25 Ultra is a lot better than what's on the Fold 7. So the Fold 7, when it's closed, it does just have speakers on the top and the bottom, just like a regular stereo speaker setup. But when you have it opened up, it's kind of all situated on the left side. So all the sounds coming from the left side of the display. So it's a little uneven. The S25 Ultra simply just has more space for the speakers to do its work, so it's a lot richer, it's a lot deeper, there's a lot more dynamic range when listening to music. That's not really the fault of the Fold 7 specifically, but it's just the foldable space and how foldables are designed as of right now. And you also get a win for the cameras for the S25 Ultra. So in terms of Samsung's general post-processing and camera results in the last 2 years, I've been really satisfied with Samsung photos. I know there's a narrative online about Samsung going for oversaturation and over contrast and over sharpening, but honestly, I haven't seen that to be the case with the results I've been getting with all the comparisons I've been doing and all the real world tests. I'm actually really satisfied with what kind of shots I've been getting for both these phones. Like I said, the post-processing is almost identical. I'd say the Fold 7 is slightly brighter, warmer tone sometimes, but since these do have identical main sensors, for the main lens, you're basically getting identical results most of the time. Now, if you really pixel peep, the S25 Ultra does get slightly more detail if you zoom into the shots, but honestly, it's not really much of a difference, so I wouldn't really call that a big win. They also basically have the same 3x telephoto lens, so from 1x to 3x, the shots look virtually identical. But when we go past 3x and up to 5x, that's where the S25 Ultra wins hands down. Thanks to the periscope 5x optical lens, this does get the huge win in terms of zoom. So zoom quality is really no contest here. From 5x to 10x, the Ultra basically destroys what the Fold 7 can get with its cameras. You get much cleaner images with less noise and everything just looks better. I also found the macro to be better on the S25 Ultra as well. The Fold 7 had a bit tougher time getting really close-up subjects and focusing in on them. And the ultra wide on the S25 Ultra is slightly better. I do see some better dynamic range coming from the S25 Ultra compared to the Fold 7. It's not a huge difference, but it does get the win. Another win for the S25 Ultra is the general performance here. Now, these both come with the latest Snapdragon 8 Elite processor, so you're getting the latest and greatest from Snapdragon, and basically in terms of the day-to-day, everything's gonna feel pretty identical. And for those basic things, even thermal management was basically the same for both these phones. But since the Fold 7 is in this thinner, tighter form factor, it does have more throttling in terms of performance. And the Fold 7 supposedly doesn't have a vapor chamber like the S25 Ultra does. So not only is the Ultra going to get slightly higher peaks in terms of gaming, it's also going to get better sustained performance there. Something also faster on the Ultra is just the charging speed. So even the Ultra doesn't really have a charging speed to brag about at only 45 watts, but the Fold 7 peaks at 25 watts, so it's a lot slower. Compared to Chinese foldables, both these phones have pretty embarrassing speeds, but in terms of actual charging speeds, the S25 Ultra charges in less than an hour at peak 45 watts, while the Fold 7 gets a full charge in about 1.5 hours. For a $2,000 phone, that's not great, so I do give the charging speed a huge win for the S25 Ultra. And another just easy win for the S25 Ultra is that it's $700 cheaper than the Fold 7. So you can buy this and an iPad mini or an iPad Air and get the same functionality of a Fold, since this is a phone plus a tablet. So you can get a phone and a tablet, two separate devices for the same price as one Fold. So those are the wins for each individual device, but there are some ties to think about. So even though the S25 Ultra has a much larger battery compared to the Fold 7, the battery life is surprisingly really similar. So even though the Fold 7 has a tiny 4,400 mAh battery, both these phones are full day phones, and I do get slightly more screen on time with the S25 Ultra at around 6.5 hours instead of the Fold 7's 6 hours, so it does get a bit of a win there, but I consider this a tie because I can get more done in a shorter amount of time with the Fold 7. I can multitask and can do a lot of things in a shorter amount of time. So yeah, surprisingly, these are a tie in terms of battery life. And of course, these are both running the latest version of One UI, so you're getting a tie in terms of the software experience. Yes, you can do more with the Fold 7 thanks to the bigger screen, but they all have the same advanced features. You get Galaxy AI, edge panels, modes and routines, a customizable camera app, Samsung DeX, experimental features through HomeUp, and software support for 7 years of OS and security updates. So in terms of battery and software, I think these are a tie. Alright, so let's put everything together. So I'll have to say the S25 Ultra is a better all-around product just because it's more mature, it's better in a lot of different individual areas. So yeah, if you want a solid, all-around, safe, regular slab phone with slightly better cameras and speakers, the S25 Ultra is a very good option for that. But if you're ready to kind of challenge yourself and look past the slight inconveniences, the Fold 7 is a much more dynamic phone experience. Just the form factor by itself lets you do so much more in terms of multitasking, vlogging, and general productivity. And unlike previous years where the Fold series was just too heavy or too thick, that's really not an issue here, and it's just as convenient as carrying it as your regular phone. So if you're like me and you want more out of your phone, if you want to do more with your phone and you don't want to carry a phone and a tablet separately, I personally do think paying more for the Fold 7 is worth the money. So yeah, these are very hard to compare, but those are all my honest thoughts about these two phones. Now, if you had to choose, let me know down in the comments which phone you would buy and your reasons for it. Still more Fold 7 and S25 Ultra videos coming up on the channel, so make sure to subscribe to the channel to stay tuned for those. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.